Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. This is the first podcast for counsellors that just don't align with the traditional approaches to business and that want to use their spiritual gifts, talents, and interests to create, you guessed it, a private practice with soul. So, look, leave it to me to provide you with everything you need, including strategies that you can use to increase your income, reduce your workload, and of course, increase inquiries and referrals to your beautiful soul-led private practice. I love it so much. If you haven't done it already, grab your journal, grab your pen, and let's begin. So that you're not tiring yourselves out anymore and you can actually start to receive some abundance. And we're going to be applying my masculine and feminine energy techniques and frameworks to your marketing, which is going to be, again, just so much fun. And then as a result of that, I want to teach you how you can set things up so I've got lots of automations and you can receive bookings for inquiries while you sleep. So if you've already been in Clients on Demand, you already have complimentary access to this because you have lifetime access to the program, including all the updates. So don't panic, you will automatically have access. There's space available for 10 people and there's a early bird special for the first 5 people that join. And if you want to apply and get to have some more information about it and just find out whether or not it's a good program for you, just send me a little message and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have and provide you with all the information that you need. I am just super duper excited because I love marketing so much, and my clients that get the results are the ones that really do go away and implement things and they do the work. And it's not just about strategy. There's so much of the inner work that needs to happen. And so Marketing with Soul is a lot of that depth work. It's some depth psychology and working with levels and layers of consciousness and all of that sort of beautiful stuff that you don't get in other marketing programs. So anyway, I had to share that. I also had to say, oh my gosh, we've just been inundated with new members joining the Counsellors Connect Australia group and also the ACPPO, which has been wonderful. And what else did I want to say? Oh, everybody's celebrating their wins so far, and that is just so much fun. What I want to do though is just get stuck into today's episode of the podcast, which is all about, what do you do? How do you respond when people say to you, why would you want to be, in air quotes, just unquote, a counsellor? And do you know what? This question was shared in one of the groups recently, but it's not the first time that it's come up and we haven't discussed it on the podcast yet. And as you know, I've probably got a whole lot of opinions on this and maybe you do too. But I just wanted to share with you, I guess, some of what comes through for me when I hear things like that, because of course, me having retired and released the title of psychologist, people ask me a lot, why would you do that to just do counselling or to just be a counsellor? And so I have my own answers and I'm going to share them with you now because maybe it'll help any of you who might be struggling with other people's expectations to answer them in a way that feels really beautiful and aligned for you. So I guess for me, one of the things that I really want to emphasize first off is that psychology and counseling are different things. Psychologists provide a range of services, and one of those services is counselling. But unless they've done maybe a master's in counselling or something like that, then they're not going to be specialists in it. And I think that's the big difference between counsellors and psychologists. Counsellors specialise in counselling. You move into psychology, well, I did and a lot of my colleagues did, because we were interested in the science and we were interested in the diagnoses. We wanted to learn about all the different mental health conditions and how to, treat them and what, a treatment framework looked like and all of that sort of jazz. But over time, what happens is you spend most of your time counselling And then it just kind of made sense to move away from that and do something that felt more aligned. And so for me, one of the things that I really love about counseling that I didn't have working as a psychologist was I had freedom. I have so much freedom as a counselor. And by that, I mean, I get to choose the therapeutic modality that's going to be the best fit for my client, that's going to be the best match for the therapeutic alliance. Now, I didn't have that freedom working as a psychologist because quite often, well, in fact, 99.9% of the time, clients come under Medicare or with Medicare rebates, and that comes with strings attached, not only for clients, but for psychologists as well. As you know, there's prescriptions there about how many rebates clients can get toward a session. There's prescriptions around the types of interventions that are rebatable. So, that means the type of therapies that psychologists must use, and they're not allowed really to go beyond that. So things like that. I feel like working in the counselling space, I don't have those same restrictions, and that's a good thing because I want to be able to work in a way that's the right way for the client in the room in front of me right now. And of course, hey, you know what? Sometimes that's going to be something like cognitive behavioral therapy or brief solution focus. But you know what? Other times it might be something else altogether. So I really love that I can zig to my client, zag, and draw upon the breadth of knowledge and skills that I have. And you get to do this too, working as a counsellor. And I think that's one of the most special, beautiful things that we have that other professions don't. I think too, one of the other things I really value, this is why I absolutely left psychology to be a counsellor, was to work with less restrictions. So as I mentioned a moment ago, when people come along and they have a mental health care plan, when you're working with them as their practitioner, you're advised what approaches you can and can't use, what assessments you can and can't use, how many times the client can see you and access a rebate or not, all things like that. Plus, there's other restrictions and constraints around you too. So especially things like bulk billing, you can't charge cancellation fees on because, services weren't provided and all of that sort of stuff. When you're bulk billing, you can't get the payment for the session up front because to do so is considered fraudulent in Australia under Medicare, because the Medicare law is that the service must have been provided before you can, process the rebate for the client with that. So there's lots of restrictions, I guess, around working as a psychologist, and even restrictions with advertising, which I think is a real shame because while I can appreciate the concern around client testimonials or reviews, I think that, it's 2022, 2023 now, and we're so much more aware, I like to think, of privacy and confidentiality. And I think that it's so helpful for psychologists as business owners to be able to access things like reviews from their clients and use them as part of their advertising or their marketing. And I think there are definitely ways that could be unpacked and explored further, so that psychologists had access to that, or I don't know what the rules are with social workers because they don't fall under APRA, but for us as counsellors, we can absolutely do that. There's no law against it. If you're in a membership organisation, though, of course, you're going to be governed by your code of ethics, but legally there's no rule against it. So I think you just have to be responsible with things like getting reviews and stuff like that. It is one of the things that I teach how to get, it's called social proof, but I do teach counsellors in private practice how to get and use social proof that's ethical and legal and above the board and all of that sort of stuff, because it's so important in terms of marketing the practice and building your diary. But anyway, it's just another example of where counsellors don't have the same restrictions that other health professionals do. So that is absolutely a huge benefit, and it's a huge tick on the column of counsellors and why I want to be one. I think too, when you work as a counsellor, you really get to do what you love, right? You really get to do what you love. And for me, I don't feel like you've got that same freedom and flexibility when you work in other professions. For example, as you know, I really love the masculine, the feminine. I really love being a master oracle card reader and a master tarot reader and doing readings. And I really love, not that I would do one with a counselling client, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just giving you a picture of who I am and all the things that I really like. And I love Reiki and I love EFT, and I'm that kind of person, I love all of the stuff that's not necessarily mainstream. And one of the things I really love about counselling is that there are so many different types of counselling, and there are so many different ways that you can integrate different approaches, and that you can integrate different services or even have services occurring side by side. And it's just such a beautiful space to be in. And I feel like when I get to show up in a way that aligns with my truth and aligns with my values, and I'm not having to dim my light, I'm not having to fit myself into a box, I'm not having to hide, I'm not having to restrict myself or feel constrained, I feel expansive. And I have to believe that when I'm feeling expansive, my clients feel expansive too, and I want them to feel like this is a space where they get to be open, they can open up, they can have that expansion, and we can do all of the things, right? And so I love that so much. And honestly, since retiring from psychology and moving into counseling, my happiness level and my joy level has just grown exponentially, and it's just been this huge spiritual growth. And that's another reason why I do just want to be a counsellor. The other thing that I really love about counselling versus psychology is that there's no medicalizing in counseling. Whereas when I was working as a psychologist, one of the things that we do, it's just part of the job, is you do assessments. You do make diagnoses. You do work with, pediatricians and psychiatrists and doctors and all kinds of specialists, and have a team approach to diagnosing conditions for children and youth, for example. So it's a lot of that, and it's a lot of I don't know that you'll call it labeling, but you need to know what the diagnosis is, because in psychology, the diagnosis then informs treatment, right? But we don't do those things in counselling. We're not focused on what's wrong. We're not focused on understanding a diagnosis and then implementing a treatment. It's different. What we do isn't really working with, well, some counsellors do. I appreciate that some counsellors absolutely do. But it's just a different way of working when you're working with mental health conditions. And by that, I'm talking about all the mental health conditions that you would see in the DSM. For example, there would be counsellors that generally don't work with people that have, say, psychosis or things like that, So I feel like when you're counseling, it's more about working with people that don't have super high levels of diagnoses and intensity in their symptoms and high medications for crisis intervention and care and things like that. And as I said, of course, there are always going to be exceptions to the rule, but because I've been in both industries now, I can see there is a real difference between the type of presentation that will go to a psychologist and a type that will go for to see a counsellor. And that's one of the things that I personally love about counselling, is that we get to sit down and have the important conversations without focusing on what's wrong and how do we fix it. It's very much more, in a way, collaborative than I felt psychology was. I really felt like with psychology, clients perhaps may experience a greater sense of a power imbalance or something, because as the psychologist, you're making that diagnosis, you're making the assessment, you're writing the report, you're discussing it with, all the other specialists. But that tends not to happen in counselling. And so I feel like with counselling, there isn't that you're up here, I'm over there type thing. It's more we're on the same level and we're working together, in pursuit of your dream, your desire, the outcome that you want, the reason that you came to therapy in the first place. So I love that so much because I just do. The other thing that I really love about counselling is that when you're working as a counsellor, you're working with private fee-paying clients, right? A lot of the time, the clients aren't coming to you, to access a rebate. Now, of course, I can't get Medicare rebates. That's not what I'm talking about, but they might want to claim a health rebate or something like that from the health fund. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. But by and large, often it's the case that clients will come and they'll pay to see you out of their own pocket, regardless of what your fee is. There's no right fee or wrong fee. My point is that clients will invest in their own health, in their own well-being. They're very proactive like that. When I was working as a psychologist and I was bulk billing, that meant that clients didn't pay me a cent to see me. Instead, I received the rebate from the government, which was $78 when I first started. No, $74 an hour when I first started, and I had a PhD. So I think now it's 88, I think, the bulk billing rate. But anyway, so a lot of the time, because the clients weren't, investing themselves, there were things that you can experience as a psychologist, like maybe the clients aren't making the progress that you want them to make. Maybe they have a high rate of non-attendance or a high rate of cancellation. Maybe there's high turnover at your practice, and it's nothing really to do with the quality of the work that you're doing. It's because the client has other priorities. And, I don't believe I'm the only one that experienced this, but there were times when I was in private practice for all those years not charging anybody. And there were days I could be at work for like 12 hours and maybe only have seen 4 or 5 clients, barely made enough money to feed myself that day. And yet, clients would come along like a couple of weeks later and they would have been away to Bali or something like that, and not have done the homework or not have had that outcome or things like that. So there was a sense of, because it wasn't being paid for, it wasn't really that important. And another theme that happened, now I was based in a medical clinic, right, in a bulk billing medical clinic. So you can talk to other psychologists and they'll have different experiences. But my experience was that also people would come and they would get their 6 free sessions or their 10 free sessions or whatever it was that they were getting, and then they'd disappear and I wouldn't see them again. They would say, oh yeah, I'm not going to come back because I don't have any freebies left. So, that was troubling for me because I really wanted to support them in getting the outcome that they wanted. But because they weren't invested in it, it took them so much longer to get better than someone who was invested. Okay. So one of the things I really love about counselling is right from the very first appointment, you have someone that you get to work with that is taking their health and wellness very, very seriously. And they're showing up. And do you know what? You get such different outcomes. The outcomes happen more quickly, I want to say more powerfully, but I mean, just so much more joyfully and gracefully. And it's just such a pleasure to work with these clients. And guess what? You don't always need to see them, 20 times or anything like that. Some of them may only be short-term clients, and that's absolutely enough. And that's totally amazing. But what I want to share with you is that a lot of the time it's clients who've invested in the service will be the ones that comply with your policies, respect your boundaries, implement any guidance or tools. Like if you say to them, hey, you should download the mindfulness app. Oh, what was it called? Smiley Minds. You should download the Smiley Minds app. And I really want you to do this particular meditation every night until our next appointment. Those clients more often than not tend to come back having done it, and they'll tell you that they did it and what it was like. And do you know what I mean? And so it's back to that theme again of collaboration and just that whole experience. And it's just so nice. It's nice for you. It's nice for them. There's this beautiful exchange of energy that I just didn't experience as a bulk billing psychologist. So that is another reason why I chose to be a counsellor. And maybe it is for you too. What else have I written down here? Oh, yeah. One of the other one of the other aspects of counselling that I really love so much is I really have hardly any admin at all compared to psychology. Like working on the Medicare system, there is so much paperwork. I mean, get this. There were times where I was asked to see, clients under a chronic disease management plan. It used to be called an enhanced primary care plan. And anyway, this plan allows 5 sessions at the doctor's discretion of about 20 minutes or so. I mean, you can see them up to 50, but I think it's 20 minutes. I'm just going back a couple of years here, so bear with me. But there were these 5 sessions, and the doctor would just give all the practitioners the same referral and would write the number of sessions that each practitioner could have with their patient. And the form had the client's details at the top, and then down the bottom there was a little table, and the table would say all the different services that the client could access. So it might be physio, it might be chiropractic, it might be psychology, it might be social work, things like that. And so the doctor would go, oh, well, Joe Blow can have 2 of those sessions with the physio, 1 with the psychologist, da-da-da-da-da. Now, this is a real problem because, number one, what can you do in 20 minutes? Not much. It's also a problem because you get paid, well, back then meaning 2 or 3 years ago now, it was $52.95 for the session. But admin wise, you used to have to send a confirmation to the referring doctor that you had received the referral and that you were going to accept it. Then you would see the client and you write your client notes. Then you would write a report to the doctor reporting on what you did and what the progress was and stuff like that. And then there was another piece of paperwork. And so it ended up taking you so long because there was all this paperwork to do. It's the same with things like Medicare. Like Medicare, it's a whole lot of paperwork. And if you've got, as we were doing, we were seeing so many clients in a day. You have to multiply that by the number of clients you see. It's like, it's crazy. You spend so much time doing the admin. And one of the things I really noticed when I made that transition to counselling was all of a sudden nearly all the admin disappeared. So it was amazing. I really, 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 really appreciated it. So those are 6 reasons why I love just being a counsellor. And I don't even like the word just, I'm using it tongue in cheek. I really love being a counsellor because at the end of the day, as you can hear from all of the things I've said, what it allows me to do is support my clients in a way that lights us both up, that helps that client achieve a result or a desired outcome, whatever it is. It's less admin, which means I can be more present. It's a different client demographic, which means the outcomes tend to be better. And it's just so, and there's no diagnosing and no medicalizing, the focus isn't on what's wrong with somebody and how to fix it and get it better. The focus is on other things. And I really value that so much. And I'm sure there are some psychologists that feel like they get to do a lot of this stuff that I've just said I wasn't able to do. Everyone's experience is different, but for me, on the whole, this is why I love counselling so much. I really do. Now, I hope that this has helped anyone who needed to hear it today. Anyone who has been a counsellor and been feeling not enough, not good enough, not valued. Sometimes other professions aren't so nice to other professions. And I feel like, this goes both ways with counselling and psychology. And it's something that we all really need to be very, very mindful of. It's about respecting each other's space, because it's different. Yes, there are overlaps, but there's also differences. And I think when we can respect what psychologists do and psychologists can respect what we do, I think there's going to be potential there for us to really build some beautiful, healthy, strong alliances together instead of having this sense of competition. And so you get to be part of this moving forward. You get to be part of this shift. You get to be part of this change. And what that looks like is when you're in one of the counselling groups, i.e. mine, and you feel compelled to say something not nice about psychology or psychologists or something like that, maybe don't. Maybe bite your tongue and think about something that would be respectful and that's going to help bring us all together rather than create division. And same for the psychologists that are in the groups. Instead of saying things like, well, you're just counsellors or you're just this or you're not as qualified, I think what would be really helpful from you is to really allow the counsellors to shine, really, support them and encourage them and raise them up for the amazing work that they do. Because counsellors can absolutely complement what you're doing. There's no reason why you both couldn't be referring to each other. And I know some of you already do. And it would be just so, think of how many lives could be changed if instead of having division, we had more respect and we started working together to raise each other's professions up. All right. So you get to be involved in that and you can get to be part of the leading edge of change and make this start to a whole new culture in our world, in our country about therapy, right? No matter which side of the fence that you sit on. And wouldn't it be amazing if you got known for being somebody that was instrumental in acknowledging and bringing together two different professions? And you can do that by your language, by the way you comment, by the way that you post, by the way you respond to perhaps other people's comments or posts. Do you know what I mean? Let's try moving forward just as an experiment for the next little while, for the next few weeks. Let's try just as an experiment raising each other's professions up, and let's see what happens. I know. Do you love it? I love it. Are you in? I'm in too. So that's that. In other news, I also want to say, super excited about the little Etsy store. So it's now November, and we're moving into, I think it's week 8 now or week 9 of the little shop, and she's got nearly 100 products in her now, and I love making this stuff so much because I'm just in the mood to be creative. And yes, I popped up some Black Friday templates, including email swipes and email scripts and captions that you can use on your social. Plus, I'm putting up reels and stories today or tomorrow, and a few more other bits and pieces. So if you sell online products, or if you sell physical products or digital products or anything like that as part of the revenue streams for your private practice, you can absolutely grab those. They're all fully customizable and editable using the free version of Canva. So you can just jump in, you can change my pictures, change my fonts, make them totally your own, put your brand colors on them, your logos on them, whatever you like. But for those of you wanting a quick cash injection for your practice, especially if you've got things, as most of us do, like, I went into my Dropbox and I have so much stuff in there. So I'm tizzing it all up, and that's what I'm selling. So, have a look and see what you've got that you could possibly sell just for fun. And maybe you could just sell it through your social media, or, to your list on email or something like that. But as I said, all these, I've done the email sequences for you. All you have to do is fill in the gaps kind of thing. So you don't have to write them. You don't have to write your captions. Again, it's just like fill in the gaps. It's all done for you. And there's 50 templates there in Canva. I separated them into Facebook and IG because some people aren't yet sure how to do the sizings, but if you know how to do the sizings, you could resize them easily. There will be some reels and story templates going up, and what else? Other bits and pieces. But why don't you just have a little bit of fun with it and set yourself a little goal to sell 3 things over Black Friday? It's coming up in 3 weeks, so you've got plenty of time. It wouldn't be hard to do. You just need to schedule everything. And guess what? You could probably delegate that, because I've given you everything. So you could probably delegate it. But anyway, it might just be a little bit of fun and just see how you go with it. And yes, as I said, Marketing with Soul. So the doors are open now. We start on the 24th of November. So starting in 3 weeks. It's a 9-week group coaching program, and we have Zoom coaching calls twice a week. So there's one for an hour, and then we have like a little Q&A for half an hour. Plus there's a WhatsApp group community that you can jump into to get extra support from the peers in your group and all this sort of jazz. There's a member portal that's got all the lessons in it, and you get all the templates and things like that as well. And the big goal is to, at the end of the day, teach you the parts of promoting and marketing your private practice that are missing because you don't know what you don't know. And if you've been marketing for a long time and you're still not getting inquiries, then there's a good chance there that there's an opportunity for you to learn something, right? So the types of things we're going to be covering, like your messaging, your area of interest and specialization. We're going to be looking at the inner work around your mindset. I'm going to be doing all of this through the masculine and the feminine. Yes, if you want us to pull cards, we can absolutely pull cards, and I can teach you how I use card reading in my business if that's something you're interested in. It's not on the agenda, but we can add it. And I want to show you about things like content, like how to create content that's really impactful, because guess what? If you're posting, but you're not getting any inquiries, there's not much point in you keeping on doing the same thing, right? You've got to change what you're doing. And I want to show you how I create content so that you can start to experience what I do, which is people just kind of, knock on my door in my little inbox and they will say, hey, are you taking anybody on for this, that, or the other? So I want to show you how that happens for me. And I want to show you also how to automate some of the things in your practice around your marketing and generating inquiries and what to do so that it just takes a lot of the heavy lifting off your plate for you. So that's what the program is all about. And it's called Marketing with Soul for a reason. It's because it's not about pushing an ickiness or anything like that. It's all about, I guess, sharing information because you know that your dream client is out there needing it. Maybe they don't know that you have it, or maybe they don't know that they need it. And it's just making it available to them so that they can choose to say, actually, I would like to learn a little bit more about this, or I would like some more information. How do I go about that? And from there, I'll show you the steps for how you look after clients who may be starting to reach out to you. So it's a really, really beautiful soul-based program. It has rituals in it. It's got meditations that we do together in it. It's really nourishing. It's a beautiful space. And not only that, one of the things that happened with clients on demand in round 1 and round 2 was people made really beautiful friendships and connections as a result of being in the program. So there's also that, you're not doing this alone. It's not just one-on-one with me. It's more affordable because it's in a group and all that sort of stuff. So have a think about it. If you want any more information, just let me know. You can catch me on Instagram at The Private Practice Coach or in one of our groups on Facebook. But otherwise, have a really, really happy Wednesday. And you know what? You are amazing. You are an abundant soul. There is nothing about worth or deserving. You were born worthy and deserving. And do you know what? All your clients are already there. What is desired by you is destined for you. The reason that they're not coming is because there's just something that's not working right. That's all. And that's what Marketing with Soul will help you with. Chances are you've got good strategies in place, but it's maybe some of this wounded feminine or wounded masculine that might be getting in the way. And that happens to be my wheelhouse. So if that's what you would like to explore further in a group coaching situation, let me know. And I don't know that I mentioned this, but it's on my banner. There's an early bird special for the first 5 people that join, and places are open for 10 people. Okay. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye. I hope that you loved this episode as much as I loved putting it together for you. To get more resources to help you in your private practice, head over to Instagram. My handle is at The Private Practice Coach. And also, if you want more inquiries and referrals for your business, let me know. I have a program called Clients on Demand that opens every quarter, and I can absolutely get you some information for that as well. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world. Bye.